What's up, everybody? It's the end of July, going into August. We're nearly into fall. Probably one of my favorite time of the year, honestly. Especially since this year, hopefully, aside from the fact that this Delta thing is becoming more prevalent here in the Midwest, I'm still hoping that Midwest Gaming Classic in November happens. Very much looking forward to that. I did get out to one convention this month, earlier this month actually, which I'll get to in a little bit. Um, but we've got pickup games, stuff that I've gotten, some things here and there, some interesting stuff. We're gonna start off with the elusive PlayStation Vita stuff. I've got 4 games here, and they're all imports. Especially since Limited Run has finally released just yesterday their last Vita game. So the Limited Run Vita collection is now done. So I'm moving on to other things, which I don't know how often I'm going to pick these up anymore, but there's a couple of them I want to get. These were just a few of them that are kind of on my list for one reason or another. But I don't intend on getting any like like the full set exclusives from Japan because there's way too many. I may get a couple PAL ones if possible. I don't really know a good place to pick those up. And there's some other like Spanish ones that actually have English translations to them, and some other odds and ends. But we'll see how far I get with that. Otherwise, I pretty much consider my quest for PlayStation Vita complete. Um, so I don't know how many more of these Vita games we're gonna really show here in the next couple months. They'll pretty much maybe be 1 or 2 here and there, just depending on if I find the ones that are actually on my hit list, which isn't a very long list to begin with. But first of all, we have the Taiko Drum Master, which is kind of the welcome price or the best of type cover. This is actually the first type of covers that I've gotten for these Vita games. I mean, the game is exactly the same, but the fact that I really wanted to try out the Taiko Drum Master games, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It's kind of fun. Makes me want to play the actual arcade version, which I haven't had a chance to do yet. We'll see if that happens, though, in the future. But what's kind of interesting is, I mean, this has stuff from various anime theme songs, such as Cruel Angel Thesis from Evangelion. There's also a bunch of, like, anime themes, anime themes, J-pop, and a couple other ones that I've never really heard of. But it's really fun. They do have a Switch version that is in English over at PlayAsia.com if people are interested in something like this. But if you are able to get the drum accessory for the Switch, that would make things even better. But for the Vita, it's not too bad. It's kind of fun. And then I just recently got To Love Ru Battle Ecstasy, which is a hack and slash game, RPG type thing, and I love hack and slash games, so that was kind of on my hit list to get, and it was super cheap, especially with the fact that some of the prices on these, the average price on a Vita game right now is anywhere between $25 and $35. So I don't know if I haven't really seen too many of them go up too much. There are some like crazy expensive ones, like Catherine that I got last month is super expensive right now, as well as things like Eve Burst, which is on my hit list. That's like $100 game, which is insane for a Vita game. But even retail price, I mean, most people are still selling that game for $60. But I also managed to grab the Knights of Azure on the PlayStation Vita, the original copy here. Another hack and slash RPG game. This did come out here on the West on the PlayStation 4, which I may pick up later, just so that way I have an English version of it, but that game is getting harder to find. Even though it's not too expensive, it's around the $20 to $30 range. But there's that one. I also picked up the second game, so Knights of Azure 2. Again, this also came out here in the West. Switch actually got a version of this, which I've been informed isn't really the best. There's a lot of frame drops on the Switch version, and people were saying kind of stay away from it, but overall it's not horrible. I'm not sure how it plays on the Switch yet. I know that the graphics are downgraded compared to the Switch and the PlayStation 4 version that we got. Again, this game isn't really all that expensive, even for the PlayStation 4 game, but it is getting a little harder to find. Speaking of Switch, I did pick up a couple games. I love arcade compilations, and I've probably said that in the past. I don't know how many times. But I got one on the Switch, the Namco Museum Arcade Pack. And I got this simply because of the fact that the original Splatterhouse arcade version is actually on here, along with, what was the name of that? Rolling Thunder 1 and 2. So those three games alone were the reason why I wanted to pick this up. It was super cheap. It was only $20 on Amazon. But this also includes the Pac-Man Anniversary stuff, Pac-Man Versus, of course, Dig Dug, the original Pac-Man, Tank Force, Galaga, and Sky Kid. So, I mean, for some classic Namco arcade games, you can't go wrong. So, that's pretty cool. And I may play some of that online with some friends, too. I also managed to find a copy of Shantae, Risky's Beat. I'm not a huge Shantae fan, especially since I didn't dig the original game that came out on the Game Boy, and I guess it was re-released for the Switch. I just didn't care for it. I do have Pirate's Curse on the Switch as well, but again, not much into these. I know a lot of people are big on the Way Forward games, especially Shantae, and Shantae games are super expensive right now in the secondhand market. And wow, my lighting really sucks in here right now. My poor camera can't keep up; it keeps dimming. So yeah, there's that. And as I mentioned before, I went to the Chicago Video Game Summit. I had the pleasure of meeting Adam Korlick, another big Sega fan. And man, I went in not knowing what to expect. I don't have any pictures of the place. Really, there wasn't a whole lot to it. It was just vendors. There was no panels, no special things happening. They did have a special guest where the creator of the Mortal Kombat symbol was there, and he was doing autographs, which is really cool. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to talk to him because every time I went by, there was people speaking with him. Very small convention, though. Not many people were actually there. It was kind of nice to actually get out, though, to one and just walk around and see all the different things. There was surprisingly a lot of import games, which I don't see even over at Midwest Gaming Classic. I don't come across that very much either. But it's just some of the prices and what my friends and I call con prices. So things are often $5, $10, a little over what you would even get on eBay sometimes, or other online sites. But I did manage to find one, of course, a Sega Saturn game, no less, which is in really good condition. I did not pay the price that's on the sticker here, but I got Vampire Hunter or Darkstalkers 2 or Night Warriors, Darkstalkers Revenge on the Saturn, which I do have the US copy, but I figured I might as well get the Japanese one too, just because being a big Darkstalkers fan, and I still feel the game is very underrated. I wanted to grab it, and this guy had a copy. So this is the version that does not include the RAM cartridge. So it has a backside. Usually, if that includes the RAM, it comes in a box, and there's no back art to it. But it had the OBS strip and everything too. So I wanted to add that to my import Saturn collection, which. Unfortunately, that was the only game I actually got at the convention. Everything else I looked at, I was like, yeah, I can get that cheaper somewhere else, and if I really want it. But there wasn't a whole lot there. Some Xbox games are super cheap. Some of that stuff, I mean, you can still find really good deals for there, but the rest of it, I just didn't care for it. Now, this is one. This is a unique one. I was poking around just some things. I'm like, man, I can't believe I don't have that game. But this is the sequel to 18-Wheeler that was on the Dreamcast, Gamecube, PS2 during that time. This was kind of, I don't know if it was exclusive, but this was a PlayStation 2 version of the King of Route 66. But this, again, is technically the sequel to 18-Wheeler. It's just you're driving semis and racing them. But I was like, I don't see this game very often. When I looked it up online, it was like more expensive than I really would have thought. Generally, I've been seeing this game going for anywhere between $30 and $40. So I found it at a game store in Madison for half that price, maybe less. But it is complete. It does have the original manual. I still have the receipt in here too. But yeah, so there's the manual and the disc. But I was just surprised that I hadn't really grabbed that, or the fact that this hadn't shown up on like the original Xbox that I know of. I don't know if GameCube got even a version of this, but it was just one of those, oh, weird. That's a weird Sega AM2 arcade game that I don't really have in my collection. So I wanted to grab that. That was one I didn't spend long looking for, but I was keeping an eye on. Maybe a couple months I was looking for it because I was like, oh, do I just give up and get it online, or do I hope that I'm gonna find it somewhere in a store nearby me? And surprisingly, I did find that. So not technically a game, but it is game related. I've been on an Udon comic kick lately. Udon just had their San Diego Comic Con stuff that also happened in July. And I got a bunch of the stuff that hopefully coming in the mail in the next couple weeks when they start shipping those out. But I started picking up some back issues that I didn't have in my collection. So I got this Street Fighter pinup special from 2019 with Chun-Li and Cammy hanging out at the gym. It was just a cover I didn't have in my collection. And these older covers, especially 2019 to 2020, are getting kind of harder to come by because they're sold out at most comic stores, and even finding them online on eBay, they're going for twice as much. So I grabbed this for super, super cheap. Guy was clearancing them out online, so I happened to grab it. But yeah, just coming along on picking up those collectible comic covers. Last two games here, we have the Wii Collection. I've been seeing a lot of people pick these up. I wanted them mostly for the soundtrack. I originally had these games on the Wii, and I ended up selling those to go towards these, just simply because the graphics have been kind of updated and revamped, and I thought it would be more fun to play on. But I do have the No More Heroes limited run edition, which has all the fun goodies and everything. It actually came with a flag of the design on these. So naturally, of course, I also got the second one, which I think is cool because they actually connect to make one whole image. So this is kind of what the flag looks like without Travis on the front box. The other cool thing is when you have it on the shelf, it kind of forms a little picture here, which looks kind of cool. So I thought that was neat. And I don't pick up special editions much at all, so that was kind of hard for me, but I'm like, man, I really want that soundtrack because I dig the music that's in No More Heroes. So I really wish that sometimes, which they do often, Limited Run sells the soundtrack separately from the games. And I still have a lot of those that I'm waiting for and coming in too. But it was one of those where it's like, the only way of getting the soundtrack for that is if I buy the limited edition, which sucks because I really didn't want to do that. And I don't remember what else was in these things. Probably like a couple postcards or something like that. But I'll see when I get around to actually playing them. Right now, my backlog on Switch is yay big because I don't play Switch a whole lot, which I'm gonna have to slowly start eating away at that backlog because I'm getting a lot of flack, especially from Mega Matt. That I have all these sealed games because I haven't gotten around to playing them. And it's not that I want sealed games in my collection. I don't. I really am one of those guys who feels that games are made to be open and played. And I always intend on doing that, even though, like, even with the Vita stuff, that I do have some sealed games. It's just simply because I haven't gotten to actually playing them because I'm doing other things, or I'm going back and I'm replaying old games. And I am thinning out my collection. Definitely not getting rid of the Dreamcast and Vita stuff. But for all my other systems, I have a goal where I'm trying to actually thin it down to 15 to 20 games per system. Because a lot of systems I have around the 30 to 40 range. So I'm like, there's a lot of these games I'm not going to go back to. So I might as well only keep the ones I really know that I'm going to go, that have the replayability, like a lot of fighting games and action games and such, that I'm going to keep. So I'm trying to narrow that down and just get rid of the ones that I really don't feel that I'm going to want to keep around for as long as I can. So that's kind of a chore in of itself, and a very much a challenge, because sometimes you get down to that's like, oh, I'm so close to that 15 limit, or I'm 2 and I have 18, so I'm kind of like, okay, I'll just make a thing, goals 15, but if I'm at 20, I'm okay with that. or somewhere in between there, just to keep everything down, keep that way I have more room for newer systems as they come along. Even though this new generation, the PlayStation's 5s and Xbox Series X's, I'm really not impressed with, and I have no reason to really upgrade at this point. So I still have a lot of games on PlayStation 4 I haven't gotten to yet. So I'm holding off maybe a year or two before I even look at those systems. But so that tired of rambling, and I'm sure you're probably tired of hearing me ramble. So we're gonna call it quits now. So that's it for this month, and I'll close with, as always, I thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.